Twinkle.
Yep.
हम उड़ना चाहते हैं कल्पनाओं के घोड़ों पर सवार होकर निहारिकाओं के पार, इतना ऊपर उड़े कि तारों को पढ़ने के लिए हमें झुकना पड़े। आसमान कदमों तले हो और हम उड़ते रहें, उड़ते रहें। Winners don't do different things, they do things differently. A famous quote by Shiv Khera exactly represents the team of Saturday International Text Gyan. A very warm good afternoon to all the galvanized audience watching us today. I, Twinkle Jangid, welcome you all in 1 year celebration of Saturday International Text Gyan. हाँ, एक साल हो गया है कुछ सीखते और सिखाते. Getting an audience is hard, sustaining an audience is hard. It demands a consistency of thought, of purpose, and of action over a long period of time. Yeah, consistency is one of the specialties of Saturday International Text Gyan. It is released every Saturday. Not only this, there are more major specialties. Vartika, can you tell us some more?
Yes. Saturday International Gyan has various unique specialty in it. So tell me, Twinkle, which is more interesting, a comic or a novel?
Obviously comics.
Okay. Flowchart or a long page theory?
I think flowcharts.
Okay. So crux with some practical comments or theory and only theory?
Yes, crux with practical comment is way more interesting.
Okay, so there you go. The Saturday International Text Gyan series has all these unique specialty in it. So
it sounds interesting, Vartika.
Yeah, correct. So Saturday International Gyan is the simplest way of reading case law with crux, pictorial presentation, flowchart, along with practical comments. Not only case laws, but also we include recent updates of international taxation. Thank you everyone to be a part of this journey, and the one who missed all this journey, we have one special video for you all to give a glimpse of this International Text Gyan series. Let's watch it together. Let me share with you the screen. Done. Hand over to Twinkle.
Happy birthday to International Text Gyan. As you all know, we are gathered today for a healthier discussion in an open forum. For making it more healthier, I invite CA Naman Shrimal to give some discussion about Engineering Analysis Center of Excellence Private Limited versus CIT Supreme Court.
Can you put it on full screen? Yeah.
It is visible now.
Okay. Yep. So thank you, Vartika, and all those people who are attending here. Thank you so much. Most of you must have been reading our case laws and everything, and I see a lot of friends over here. Thank you so much for coming over here. I see Vivek sir, Hariram sir, everyone over there, Karnik, Ankit. Thank you so much for turning up. And what we thought that we'll pick up a couple of topics, and we with you guys here can also chip in and give us your experience ka tadka, and we'll have a good informal discussion on the topical things which are going on. So this is obviously one of the most debatable case law, and therefore what we are going to discuss is the software case law, whether it's royalty or not. So that was a landmark ruling. Vartika, can you go to the next slide? So I would really like to present this in this only one slide. Rest all are just for reading purposes, but that is my crux of it. So let's go to a story or a movie called Bhagwan. And once we move to that movie, you see there are a lot of characters over there. So there is this author, Amitabh Bachchan, who has written a story. Then there is this publisher, and this publisher sell goods to the shopkeeper, and this shopkeeper ultimately sell goods to the books to the reader. So that's how the whole value chain of any book is. So you will always have an author, you will have a publisher, you will have a shopkeeper, and you will have a reader. Now the publisher practically use a license to use copyright, and based on that copyright it publishes books. तो वो books की बहुत सारी copies बनाता है और shopkeeper को बेचता है. Shopkeeper के पास license होता है to distribute the rights. ठीक है, वो distribute करता है, distributes, it gets a distribution right in particular area, let's say India. So वो India में distribute करता है, and a reader actually gets a license to use. वो खाली पढ़ने का उसके पास एक कैपेसिटी होती है, ना तो वो उसको कॉपी बना सकता है, ना वो उसको कोई आगे टेक्निकली उसको बेच सकता है, वो कुछ भी राइट्स नहीं होते उसके पास. अब हमारा इनकम टैक्स एक्ट, जो कि हमारा इनकम टैक्स एक्ट है, वो क्या सोचता है इसके बारे में? द इनकम टैक्स एक्ट थिंक्स दैट ऑल ऑफ दिस license to use copyright, even the license to use distribution right, and license to use the product itself is a copyright. Okay, is a license to use copyright. And when it is used license to use copyright, then obviously everything in this transaction, everything from author to publisher to shopkeeper to reader, everything becomes a royalty. ठीक है, अब मैं आप लोगों से क्वेश्चन पूछता हूं, डू यू थिंक दैट अ रीडर, आपने एक मान लीजिए आपने कोई दवाई खरीदी, तो क्या आपने उसका राइट टू यूज कॉपीराइट उस दवाई का पेटेंट ले लिया क्या आपने, या आपने उसकी दवाई खरीदी? व्हाट इज योर ओपिनियन, व्हाट इज ग्रुप्स ओपिनियन ऑन दैट? इट्स एन इनफॉर्मल डिस्कशन. क्या लगता है? You can write, you can chat, maybe you can speak up, anything. Do you think that once a reader buys a book, he also gets the right to the license of copyright? और या आप एक मेडिसिन खरीदते हैं तो आपको उसका पेटेंट मिल गया, you get a piece of that, or only the publisher gets a license to use copyright? क्या ओपिनियन है? Anybody can write up. Let's see. Sorry विवेक जी, क्या बोल रहे हैं?
मैं बोल रहा हूँ नहीं मिलेगा.
So only publisher gets it. Okay. But हमारी जो इनकम टैक्स की डेफिनेशन है उसमें इतना वाइड है that even the license to use is a royalty. So हम लोग डोमेस्टिक के अंदर मान लीजिए कोई भी यूज करते हैं सॉफ्टवेयर, मान लीजिए एज अ टैक्स we use Computex or we use ClearTax, we are using that software, that also becomes a royalty. And therefore in domestic transaction, whenever we do such kind of transaction, हम लोग 194J में TDS काटते हैं. But most of the DTAAs do not say otherwise. So what happens is, only in most of the DTAA, license to use copyright is a royalty, and therefore you pay tax on royalty accordingly. License to distribution right or a license to use, it's just sale, or license to distribution right can be just a business right. So for income tax, everything is same. It's all license to use copyright. But for DTAA, only this point is license to use copyright. और यही एक, अगर मैं बोलूं तो crux है इसका, that whenever you're doing a royalty transaction, whenever you're doing a software transaction, you need to understand whether I have got a license to use copyright or have I got license to use the product itself. If it's a license to use copyright, then obviously it would fall under respect to DTAA's. income tax में तो है, income tax में सब everything is same, ठीक है? But DTAA generally states use of or right to use of any copyright of literally artistic or whatever. So that's a sum and substance of it. ये conceptually है. Okay, you can obviously read number of pages, we can go beyond it, but majorly यही है. Maybe we can now in next 3-4 minutes come to the what अगर ये तो था समझने का, अगर कहीं पे बोलना हो, कहीं डिस्कस करना हो, तो हमें क्या करना है ये हम आगे देख सकते हैं. So there were 103 applicants, बहुत सारे applicants छूट भी गए थे, किसी ने विवाद से विश्वास में चले गए, कई जनों ने बोला ठीक है कोई फर्क नहीं पड़ता. So applicants का contention था it's a purchase of goods, nothing else. Revenue condition ऐसे मैंने आपको समझा, it was transfer of copyright. Okay, next. अब ये 4 buckets में majorly transaction को डाल दिया गया था. So in these 4 buckets for the transaction, so when a seller sent to end user, जो अपन बोलते हैं कि चलो कि seller directly end user को बेच रहा है, then a seller either to distributor and then to end user, or distributor is in India, or a seller distributor is outside and the end user is in India, or seller to distributor / end user. तो आजकल जनरली इफ यू सी 1 और 4 वाले ज्यादातर होते हैं बिकॉज डिस्ट्रीब्यूटर मॉडल वगैरह से खत्म हो गया है. नाउ इफ यू लेट्स से अब फॉर माइक्रोसॉफ्ट 365 आपको डायरेक्टली उससे खरीदोगे आप, यू विल डायरेक्टली परचेज इट, कोई बीच में होता नहीं है जनरली. इफ यू वांट टू इंप्लीमेंट बिग थिंग्स इन डिफरेंट स्टोरी, मोस्ट ऑफ द टाइम्स यू बाय सॉफ्टवेयर डायरेक्टली फ्रॉम द सेलर एंड यूजर, समथिंग लाइक दैट. लेट्स गो फॉरवर्ड. नेक्स्ट. So let's go. So I will not go into too much of this mumbo jumbo. ठीक है. So मैं सिर्फ इतना सा बोलूंगा, taxability of act versus DTAA जो मैंने conceptually बताया उसको यही चीज बताई गई है. Next वर्तिका. So पीछे. So Supreme Court categorically said not taxable as software royalty. But again, I am telling you, we need to be very cautious. How does our end user license agreement looks? तो जो यूजुअली बोलते हैं कि हमारा एंड यूजर लाइसेंस एग्रीमेंट कैसा दिखता है, ठीक है. आर वी हैविंग अ लाइसेंस टू यूज कॉपीराइट और आर वी हैविंग लाइसेंस टू यूज प्रोडक्ट, उस पर डिफर करेगा. बट यू गिवन सम एग्जांपल ऑफ व्हाट कुड बी नॉट टैक्सेबल एज रॉयल्टी इन करंट stage, and first and fourth is, as I said, majorly used in the current day and age. Next. Now we also need to see now we also need to see there is an application of equalization levy. So वो equalization levy का भी concept आ गया है, जहाँ पे ऐसे सारे taxable हो सकते हैं. So you need to see where it can fall into equalization levy, because specifically बोला गया है कि ये चीजें वहाँ पे taxable हो सकती हैं. So we need to actually see where the equalization levy impact will be there. Okay. And therefore the software company might have to opt for that and have to pay equalization levy on such transaction when they are selling such goods selling such software in India. पुराने जो हैं लोग वो अपने एप्लीकेशन रिफंड करेंगे अगर किसी ने टैक्स पे कर रखा है, व्हाटएवर इज अ लॉन्ग थिंग. नाउ हमें भी कई बार ऐसा लगता है कि such kind of software should ideally be taxed in India ना. इंडिया के लोग कंज्यूम कर रहे हैं, यूज कर रहे हैं, why such a distinction, ये रॉयल्टी ये वो. So there is a proposal by US सब कमेटी आर्टिकल 12B. उसके अंदर इफ यू रीड तो ऐसी कुछ चीजों को टैक्सेबल करने के लिए बताया गया है कि हाउ दोस कुड बी टैक्सेबल इन द सोर्स कंट्री एज वेल. एंड आई थिंक इट्स अ वेलकम स्टेप. India being or any of the source country having such a big user base should get a right to tax such kind of deals, because यूजर्स से भी प्रॉफिटेबिलिटी है. फेसबुक के इतने यहाँ पे यूजर्स हैं, टिकटॉक के थे, इंस्टाग्राम के हैं. Those users, the value the user generates should also be considered while taxation, while taxing in a country, and not just कि कहाँ से वो residence based taxation की पे तरफ ज्यादा था, because developed countries were majorly powerful. Now you see developing countries are getting their way ahead. तो ये यूएन सब कमेटी ने पास कर दिया है. नाउ कब ट्रीटीज में आएगा, इट विल टेक अनदर, और या फिर पिलर 1 पिलर 2 बहुत सारी चीजें चल रही है. लेट्स सी क्या चीज होती है. नेक्स्ट. देन कैन यू हैव टू सी कैन यू अवेल DTAA बेनिफिट. ऑब्वियसली दिस इज आवर टॉपिक आल्सो कि टीआरसी ले सकते हो नहीं ले सकते, बट अगर हम एडवाइजरी स्टेज में तो हमेशा बोलते हैं टीआरसी ले लो, मच बेटर है. ओके. तो सी इफ यू कैन नॉट अवेल DTAA बेनिफिट, अगर आप DTAA बेनिफिट नहीं अवेल कर सकते, so obviously you will fall into the definition of royalty in act, and when you fall into that वो आपको TDS काटना पड़ेगा. बहुत बार सिचुएशन ऐसी होती है, we are just making payment to software person, तो कोई कुछ है ही नहीं, हमें पता ही नहीं है वो हमको TRC देगा, मेल पे देगा, नहीं देगा, क्या करेगा, anything, we are not aware of that. उस केस में क्या करें? तो जनरली आई हैव सीन नाउ बहुत सारी जगह तो यू हैव टू पे टैक्स अपफ्रंट, बहुत सारी जगह जैसे सेल्सफोर्स वगैरह है, यू जस्ट हैव टू मेल देम अप, वो भी सिंगापुर की टीआरसी दे देंगे, व्हाटएवर बी इट, तो आप उसका बेनिफिट उठा सकते हैं. बिकॉज in many places सॉफ्टवेयर पे जस्ट हमारा क्रेडिट कार्ड के थ्रू पेमेंट हो रहा है एंड नथिंग एल्स. So we need to take care in mind can a supplier of that software, can a service provider of that software avail treaty benefit? If the supplier can avail treaty benefit, then obviously you can give treaty, you can go to the definition provided in a treaty, which is much narrower. If it cannot, then you have to come to a wider definition, which is given in Income Tax Act, and then even a use of the software can come into the ambit of this royalty taxation. So this is the current scenario. You check domestic transaction, obviously 194J, then whether DDAA benefit exists, you can take it or not. If not, then under 195, then check provision, whether definition of royalty is there in any DDAA. Agar hai, so yes, still taxable under 195. I think one of couple of DDAAs has that. Agar nahi hai, so obviously it will be not as a royalty, it will be a business transaction, and therefore it will not be taxed in India per se.
Naman,
Yes, please, sir.
Now, in this software taxation, now if you are buying this off-the-shelf software, ready-made, then of course we can very well say that what you are buying is a copyrighted product and not,
not
copyright per se.
Yes.
Therefore, this particular Supreme Court ruling will come for our rescue. But
Yes.
suppose if we are paying to professionals for rendering any kind of technical services for making the that tailor-made software.
Yes.
So in that situation, department may allege that what you are paying is the fees for technical services, and if there is no make available condition in that particular treaty, then perhaps that particular remittances could be subject to tax in India. So
Perfect, sir. Perfect.
What is your view on that?
I agree, sir. So when we will look, we would see whether it is a fees for technical service or royalty. So because there is no copyrighted material as such being used, I'm not paying for a usage of copyright. It will not be royalty, but it could be a technical service, and in absentia of make available clause, as you rightly said, and it's a provision of technical service, you can still fall into that clause. I agree with you.
And coming to your second point, Naman, I just here invite your attention to explanation 1 to section 1050 about equalization levy.
Yes.
That explanation says, for the removal of doubt, it is hereby clarified that the income referred to in this clause shall not include and shall be deemed never to have been included any income which is chargeable to tax as royalty or fees for technical services in India under this act. Read with this agreement notified by central government under section 90. So the point is कि some taxpayer they think that better to pay equalization levy 2% and take the shelter of 1050, and thereby the minimum rate of tax which is 10% under treaty, so there will be saving of 8%.
Yes.
But to my mind, after reading this explanation, any remittance which is otherwise liable for tax as royalty or fees for technical services, on that equalization levy will not be applicable.
Yes.
And you are supposed to pay the taxes either under treaty or the domestic law, whichever is more beneficial. Your view, please.
Agreed, sir. So the government has made it pretty clear. Otherwise, everybody would have taken this, thing into hand. Here, 2% pay karo and be free. Okay, pay equalization levy and be free. But it is pretty clear that if you fall into that, you actually have to go through a royalty 10% route. India will get its 10% share, and then rest there, whatever is their taxability they can see. So I agree with that. That has to be there. Royalty would come first, and then if it is not considered in royalty, then you can go to equalization.
So one word of caution, Naman. I observed that few overseas suppliers, they smartly on their face of the invoice itself they say that we are paying equalization levy, therefore this particular remittance is exempt under section 1050, but then you have to apply your own mind whether it is in fact equalization levy or not.
The content needs to be seen. You cannot just go on the writing or or the terms of actually whatever is there, substance over form will always overrule. So in substance, what it is that needs to be checked. whether royalty or, as you said in your example, fees for technical service, that obviously needs to be taken care of. And we can't just go away by just having a clause or having a one-liner in an invoice that's the way it is. So that's really not to, you can't run away with that.
And a couple of more things, Naman, about that TRC, which is equally applicable in this case also, because in purchase of off-the-shelf software, again you are taking shelter under treaty. So
Yes.
if you are taking shelter under treaty, then that 90 subsection 4. Now this has gained a lot of importance after this, significant economic presence, which is recently CBDT has come out with the threshold limit. So once you come to that, so we will discuss some more important point on that. So
yes.
I thought
the next segment is of 94 TRC only, and we will require your words of wisdom on that one.
Sir, Naman sir, we are all here. We are all learning.
I mean, sir. So yeah, that's it from my side. I think my colleague will continue now for 94, and then we all. And I request all of you to join in, as this is an informal discussion. As Hariram sir is also, helping us out. Please pitch in your points or your queries so that we make the most of today's meeting. That's the whole point. Yes.
Now, I request CA Naman Malu to discuss the point whether TRC is mandatory to avail the benefit of DTAA.
Twinkle, can just information whether whosoever wants to add something on the particular point, they are free, or only that presenter will speak? Because Naman being my friend, so I could take this liberty.
No, anybody can speak, sir. It's an informal when we send a flyer, we said it's not a presentation, it's a discussion thing. So it's an open forum.
Okay. Thanks.
So we are just basically highlighting the facts. We are not going into too much deep. It's just so that sometimes there are people who are not on the same page. So at least they're aware of the things which are going on, and then whoever wants to chip in can chip in.
Sure.
That's the whole idea.
Okay, so good afternoon. I welcome you all, and I also thanks every one of you who have supported us till now for last 1 year. And that's why we are keeping this session, so that we can have a one-to-one interaction with all the people who are interested and who read our presentations or articles regularly. So this is just a way to say thank you to everyone. And as sir said right now, that it is an open discussion, so everyone is welcomed. It is not only about us. It is we are all discussing, and we are all just sharing our knowledge. It's nothing more than that. So I'll just start with my topic for today, that is tax residency certificate. So as Hariram sir just now said, that tax TRC is going to be a very important thing in the future with SEP and everything coming in. So let's just discuss what is income tax, what has income tax written on it, and what is the requirement under Income Tax Act for that particular thing. So as we see, section 90, section 90A and section 91. These are the sections which deal with these are the three main sections which deal with your international transaction taxes, and which deal with providing credit or taxing the international tax incomes in India. Correct. So when we go through section 90, it deals with that when a country is having an agreement with another country, then in that case we need to see section 90, wherein section 90 subsection 4 deals with tax residency certificates, where it says that an SSU is not a resident of India, will have to produce a TRC of his country, that is a tax residency certificate, to take benefit of any double tax avoidance agreement which has been entered into by India with another country. So let's say, for example, there is a person who lives in Hong Kong, and he needs to, and there is a DTAA between India and any income from fees for technical service. So in that case, if let's say he is having a lower tax deduction or lower tax as mentioned in Hong Kong and India DTAA, then he needs to present that TRC in India to take the benefit of that lower deduction that has been mentioned in India and Hong Kong DTAA. So it has been clearly mentioned in section 94 that a person needs to present his the tax residency certificate. And there is also confusion in many people that who issues this tax residency certificate, whether it has to be issued with by the supplier himself or the person who wants to take the benefit, whether he needs to provide it. So it has been clearly mentioned that therefore a certificate issued by the government of a foreign country. So the certificate, that is a TRC, needs to be issued by the government of that country and not anyone else. It needs to be signed by the that country, that the so and so person or so and so company is a tax resident of my country for so and so financial year. So it is issued by the country's government tax department itself. Correct. So and next thing, we can even support it. There is a supporting document which also needs to be provided. So there is a form 10F which has been provided in Income Tax Act, which can be provided in support of this TRC. So there is again a confusion that whether 10F would suffice all the requirements, and whether we can only provide 10F and it will do the job. So the answer would be no, that 10F is just a supporting document. TRC is the main document, as we can see here that they have clearly mentioned tax residency certificate. So TRC is the most important document here, and 10F would not suffice the thing. So next, let's get to the next. Correct. So now let's have a look what DTAA says about this TRC and whether it deals with. So there is a OECD model which we have discussed. There are various models like UN model on which various DTAAs are based. So we have taken an example of OECD model. It is mentioned in Article 20. Any DTAA which has been entered into between India and any other country, they also provide an example. They also provide an article wherein they mention that how can a person whose income is getting double taxed. So the name, as the name suggests, it's double tax avoidance agreement. So any which ways, these agreements will always provide you an example that how you can avoid the double taxation of your income in both the countries. Because many a times, let's say for example, a person of Hong Kong is earning any income from India. So in that case, his income might get taxed in India, because as the Indian tax says that any income that is accrued in India will be taxable in India. And the residence country will say that since you are a resident of my country and you have been using our resources by working here, so that in that case also the Hong Kong country will also charge tax on that income. So that's to picture to avoid the double taxation. So here Article 23 says that where a resident of a contracting state derives income or owns capital which may be taxed in the other contracting state in accordance with the provisions of this convention, except to the extent that these provisions allow the taxation by the other state solely. Means there are various provisions where it has been mentioned that the tax shall be charged. So where the word shall is used, then only one country will tax the income. But where the word may, both the countries have the power to tax the income. And in that case, Article 23 will come into picture, where it says that only the first mentioned state, that is the resident state, will provide as a deduction from the tax on the income of that resident an amount equal to the income tax paid in the other state. So let's say, for example, there is a resident of Hong Kong. So he earns any income from India. So what this article says is that the first mentions that the Hong Kong state will provide as a deduction to the resident of Hong Kong any tax that has been paid in the other state, that is India. So any tax that has been paid in India will be in Hong Kong. This is just an example. We have to look the actual Hong Kong India DTAA to get the. This is just an example for you to understand. So if say for example a person has earned 1 lakh of income from India, and in India he has paid 10,000 of tax, and similarly in Hong Kong on that 1 lakh income he has to pay 20,000 of tax. So according to this, a person can get a deduction of 10,000 of tax that has been paid in India in his Hong Kong tax return. So he will just pay 10,000 more, which is required in his Hong Kong tax return, and he will get a deduction of 10,000 which has been paid already in India. So this is how you get the credit, and this is how double taxation is avoided. Correct. And there is an which many people practically use is there is also a line which says that such deduction in either case shall not exceed that part of the income tax or capital tax as computed before the deduction is given, which is attributed as the case may be to the income. So what this says is that your credit or your deduction will never exceed, as is mentioned in above lines as well, that it will never exceed the tax which you are going to pay in another country, and hence you cannot claim any refund of the tax which has been paid in, let's say, the source country. So these are the majority cases in your residence country for the tax that has been paid in the source country. This also we need to understand, and more or less every deals with this thing that they only provide a credit or a deduction and never a refund for the tax paid in another country. This is the general phenomenon. What we are trying to point out is that it is talking about a resident of a contracting state. So now let's have a look of how the resident has been defined in DTAAs. So Article 4 deals with a resident's definition. So this is the model convention. If you go through a specific India or any other country's DTAA, there are different definitions which has been used for resident. So this is just a model thing which says that for the purpose of this convention, the term resident of contracting state means any person who under the laws of that state is liable to tax therein by reason of his domicile, residence, place of management, or any other criterion of a similar nature. So here the word domicile and residence have been used. Correct. Here nowhere it has been used that the person will be considered as a what we say a resident of another country, and he will get a credit only if he has a TRC. Correct. So here they are only stressing upon of another country, you will get the credit of the tax that has been paid in the source country. Correct. So here it decides the residentship on the basis of domicile, residence, or place of management or similar criterion. And if you go, let's say, for example, in a specific DTAAs, there they will deal the same thing with, let's say, for example, you have been stayed in another country for 183 days or more, and they will give us specific criteria for the number of days that you have stayed in another country. And based on that, they will decide that whether you are a resident or not. And the point 2 here deals with if let's say, for example, because of point 1, you are become a resident of both the countries, then there is a tiebreaker rule which comes into picture in Article 4, which says that they will then see which country you have a vital interest, in which country you have a financial interest, in which country you habitually abode, where is your family staying, and based on that criteria, they will decide for which country you are a resident. And if that also fails, let's say if, because of that also your half family stays in Hong Kong, your half family stays in India, then in that case they will again go to your place of effective management and such other rules which will be framed by both the countries based on their agreement. Correct. So there are 3 criteria based on which a person will be decided whether he's a resident of that country or not. And here no TRC word has been mentioned in the DTAA that the person needs to have a TRC compulsory. So now
Naman, can I share
Yes,
some of
sure,
my thought?
Yes.
Now, first and foremost thing, we referred section 90 subsection 4.
Correct.
Even before 90 subsection 4, when you refer section 2 reads like this, where the central government has entered into an agreement with the government of any country outside India or specified territory outside India, as the case may be, under subsection 1 for granting relief of tax, or as the case may be, avoidance of double taxation, then in relation to the SSC to whom such agreement applies, the provisions of this act shall apply to the extent they are more beneficial to that SSC. So I think the superior power is for granting the relief under treaty is given under section 90 subsection 2. But when you read section 2A start with non-obstant clause. It says, notwithstanding anything contained in subsection 2, the provisions of chapter 10A, that is GAR, shall apply to the SSC even if such provisions are not beneficial to him. So what I want to emphasize here is that under section 90 subsection 2, the unqualified powers have been given for taking the benefit under section 90 subsection 2. And when you refer subsection 4, it does not have any non-obstant clause. So can we say by inserting section 90 subsection 4, section 90 subsection 2 is subservient, or it is substandard to section 90 subsection 4? So that is a point. In this regard, I was just doing some research. So I just find one interesting Ahmedabad tribunal judgment, where this particular, in the case of SCAP Industries India Private Limited. Now this particular case law, argued by Saurabh Soparkar, and the member were nothing, Pramod Kumar. So Naman, you must be knowing Pramod Kumar, how
Yeah,
intelligent.
very well.
So they have elaborately discussed on this point, and they said even if there is no TRC, then also benefit cannot be denied. But as Naman Malu has just rightly pointed out, Article 4. Now, Article 4 says that, if you are liable to tax as per the residence, domicile, blah, blah, blah. So again, the onus of being resident of that particular country is on the SSE. So even if there is no TRC, the onus is on the SSE to prove that he is resident. So you can prove that you are resident of that particular country either by giving some sort of documentary evidence, say for example, the return which you have filed in that country. But normally, my experience shows that nobody is willing to share their return of income.
Not at all.
So the only, I would say, the easiest way to prove that you are a resident of the particular country is TRC. So ultimately, in this particular case laws where Saurabh Soparkar was the counsel and Pramod Kumar was one of the member. So ultimately, they also said that you have to prove somewhere that you are resident of a particular country. So now, in light of this significant economic presence, where if you are importing more than 2 crores of rupees, TRC is mandatory or not. And one very important thing which I must bring it to the knowledge of my friends is that TRC is qua year. Now, say for example, assessment year, this financial year 21-22 is going on. And if you have not obtained the TRC for this particular year, and you got the TRC, say in the financial year 23-24, whether it will be accepted, again a question mark. And again, so once you have missed the bus and obtaining the TRC for subsequent year, because आप जब apply करते हो TRC के लिए, तो आप उस साल के लिए apply करते हो, and accordingly the government.
It takes time. It takes time.
And government of that country will give you tax resident qua that particular year.
Yes.
So one has to be very careful when you obtain TRC. We must immediately inform to our clients that TRC is must, and if TRC is not, if you fail to obtain TRC, then either way of some other documentary evidence, you have to prove that you are resident of a particular country. And the other point which my friend Naman Malu has referred about tax credit, I just invite Rule 128 of the Income Tax Act, which very categorically lays down the rules for allowing tax credit. And while claiming the tax credit, one has to file form number 67. So without submitting form number 67, it will be difficult to take the tax credit. And about the whether exemption method hai ya credit method hai, it depends upon the
treaty to treaty
wordings of the particular treaty. So if there are, see if the words are used that so and so country has got exclusive right to tax, or that country alone will tax it, then it's an exclusive method. And maybe tax whereby both the country has got right to tax it, and then mitigate the double taxation liability by way of taking the tax credit. The citation of the particular case laws which I was referring, if anybody is interested, may note down.
I think we have it.
We have
it.
Next slide.
Fantastic.
Next slide mein hai shayad. Next.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. We have couple of jo bhi where no TRC required. These are the 171 ITD 723.
So Naman, ये तो 2018 का है. 2018 के बाद का कोई है क्या?
नहीं, recent आया ना अभी ये Rajneet Kumar Hukum.
What does it say?
It says no TRC required.
No TRC, and even that no further document is also required.
I think so. We need to go deeper, but I think so. Yeah, it says, it categorically says that it does not specify in any of the DTAAs, and when there is a agreement between two sovereign nations, those will come over any of the given sections of the Income Tax Act. I do have one point, which is a pro, I would say, on the side of the revenue. They say that double taxation avoidance agreement are just for dividing the income to be taxed, dividing the tax share. Okay, so and when the procedural law is there, all the procedures are governed by the respective countries. So can we say that this is just a procedure which other country has said, कि ये आप TRC लाओगे, ये मेरा procedure है, then only I will give the benefit. Can we say like that rather than because double taxation avoidance agreement just gives a tax, just divides a taxing right between the countries. So इसमें क्या what's the opinion of the group on that?
Naman, assuming for time being, I will just take 2 minutes because my other friends are must be willing to speak. Assuming for time being TRC is not applicable. Even otherwise also, our friend Naman Malu has referred this Article 4.1. Now, Article 4.1 says that by way of domicile and other thing, if you are liable for tax, resident of by reason of his domicile, residence, place of management, if you are resident of a particular country, then the benefit or the other advantage available in the treaty will be available. But then the onus of proving that you are resident of that particular contracting state is on the taxpayer.
Yes.
So खाली ये procedural है ऐसा नहीं है. Even when TRC was not there, Article 4.1 was very much there. So
yes.
Either TRC or some other documentary evidence has to be produced, and that was the exact the ruling given by Pramod Kumar in SWAP.
Basically, कुछ ना कुछ तो documentation बताना है that you are resident
able
of
to
that
prove
country.
that you are resident or particular.
You are able to prove that.
Others' views are welcome, sir.
Anyone? Can a person be resident? I think Vivek ji is written. Can a person be resident of both countries where he is citizen of USA? So when he is citizen of USA, and in USA, there once you are citizen of USA, you are a resident over there. Obviously, when he is in there India for more than 182 days, as per the Act, he would be Indian resident, and then you will follow the tiebreaker rule to find out where he would be the resident. So that is what needs to be followed. Then without TRC, what other documents will you require to establish? So Munal, you may have some, let's say, your number of days of stay, your income tax return filing over in that country, and any which ways where you can actually say that you are a tax resident of that country. So maybe you have not just a number. So in my opinion, just एक कोई PAN number अपने आप ले लिया या ITIN जो बोलते हैं income tax identification number, that would not suffice. You have to definitely have some documents to prove it.
Because sir, these are the services which are being provided are other than individual, so majorly it's company or an LLC or something like that. So in that case, without TRC, whether it is viable to issue any certificate, granting benefits, or then certificate should be restricted to whatever as per law is there. Is there any liability on the CA on that part if we issue such a conservative benefit, if we give such a conservative benefits in the form?
So liability is always on the CA. Whatever happens. so yeah, because you have been not following law, so liability is always on the CA. Obviously you need to take whatever you can amass. So even if let's say I've seen that, let's say somebody is given a no P certificate, it does not have a permanent establishment in India, but it is very visible that those people have some people in India, वो सब यहाँ पे लोग बैठे हैं, सब कुछ है, कुछ काम हो रहा है, their LinkedIn profile and everything is there. Then still there could be there कि अरे यार, their permanent establishment is in there in India. So even while issue 15 CB, obviously we need to be, as Hariram sir also said, we need to be very very cautious. We need to ask TRC. अब वो बहुत बार practical situation में ये होता है, that अभी आप जनवरी में transaction कर रहे हो, and it's let's say their calendar year starts from January. You will not get TRC of that that particular year in January, it should be available in February, March, something. तो आप पुराने वाले साल पे भी आपने अगर ले रखा है तो रिलाई कर लो, and then you wait for you keep on telling your client कि अरे आप लाके दो couple of months down the line. So all those practical obviously scenario, you need to be reasonably sure that you had reasonable documents to assume that he could take treaty benefits because being a resident of that country, and then proceed.
Add to Naman what you said, at least obtain form 10F.
Yes, at least obtain that. वो कब से उससे साइन बना के तो ले लो कि he is the resident. कुछ तो लो.
Correct. I think 10F is anyways their declaration only. So I think that should help us exit. Correct.
No, but 10F is not a choice. Huh? Let me tell you, section 90 subsection 4 and 90 subsection 5. Now, section 90 subsection 5 says the SSC referred to in subsection 4 shall also provide. It doesn't give choice. It says shall also provide such other document and information as may prescribed. So अभी 10F prescribe हुआ है, तो at least 10F तो लो. बाकी TRC नहीं लेते हैं, तो then SSC is carrying that risk of
facing the tedious consequences, right?
Assessment में disallowances and all sort of consequences may be there.
Also, so this 206 AA where it comes, without PAN, certain times higher rate is there than the DT AA. We generally there are certain exceptions only which are provided by the circular. Otherwise, you are mandatory and NR is required to opt in PAN. Is my understanding correct on that part of law?
No. So what is your understanding? Sorry, I didn't get that.
There is a certain deduction which is specified at supposing 10%, but then there is no PAN. In that case, are we supposed to deduct 20% in that particular NR in that country? Can claim the whole 20%, or will it be restricted to 10% because DTAA is for 10% and Indian law has collected a higher rate?
So I will divide this in two parts. One, if we say that this 206 AA rate, let's say higher rate will overrule the DTAA rate or not, there are again two school of thoughts. Which one I subscribe, I'll tell you. One school of thought says that DTAA limits the rate. Okay, when DTAA limits the rate, and it's again a agreement between two countries. When it limits the rate, so India has limited its right. वो इतना ही टैक्स करेगा, इससे ज्यादा नहीं करेगा, कम कर सकता है, instead of 15% rate 10% कर सकता है, पर 15 से ऊपर कभी नहीं आ सकता. So when India has given that given that limitation in the treaty itself, then it cannot charge more than that. Irrespective, again वही बात है कि PAN है तो आपकी statutory requirement है. This requirement is the requirement from the Indian side, but while signing DTAA, they have not mentioned this. So this is one school of thought. Second school of thought says that no, it's an anti-avoidance provision, and when it is an anti-avoidance provision, this would disregard this treaty between sovereign nations because आपने PAN नहीं लिया यहाँ पे और आपका TDS ज्यादा काटना चाहिए और ये सब है, and this is an anti-avoidance provision और इसके लिए they have a right to charge more TDS. ठीक है?
Okay.
No. Hold for a minute, Naman.
Yeah.
May I invite your attention to 206 AA subsection 7,
Yes.
which very categorically says the provisions of this section shall not apply to a non-resident, not being a company or to a foreign company in respect of payment of interest on long-term bond as referred to in section 194 LC and any other payment subject to such condition as we prescribed. So I think 206 AA7 itself carves out the higher rate of tax. So I did.
So that is with respect to certain transaction.
No.
Was read with rule 37 BC.
So it says any other payment. Now any other payment means other than the one.
But then there is
any other payment has been defined in rule 37 BC.
Correct. We need to check whether any specific
rule 37 BC में royalty, interest, technical service, these have been defined.
Okay. So at least for
them it is pretty clear. And on that you need to provide TRC. So it is specifically said on provision of TRC and maybe couple of more.
Exactly. See, I would say his limited point is कि if PAN नहीं है तो क्या higher rate of tax लगेगा क्या? So TRC अपने आप में एक अलग subject matter है, but अगर PAN नहीं है then also it will not subject to higher rate of tax because of section 206AA subsection 7.
Yes. So we were talking of a situation where it is not mentioned in 37 BC. Where it is mentioned in 37 BC, it's fine. Okay. That has been given a carve out itself in 206AA 7 subsection. That has been given. So in that case we are talking about. So मेरा view यही है कि still DDAA limits the right to the taxation, and therefore you cannot, apply twice whatever be the rate and all that stuff on that rate.
And I think there is one Pune tribunal judgment which
there have been a couple of judgments I think on that. I do not recollect them right now. It categorically says that it's a sovereign right, and when the two parties have decided, you cannot go beyond that.
Right there.
Okay. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you, Monarch. So, आगे चलें?
One question. There is one more question from Mr. Venkatesh Shinoyji. He's saying that TRC is required only if I'm taking the benefit of DDAA. So I think that is the only requirement. If you want to take a benefit of DDAA, then only TRC is required, because otherwise there are specific rates that has been mentioned in income tax. So if you're a non-resident as per income tax, then you need to pay tax as per the Income Tax Act. And if you want to go for a beneficial provision of DDAA, then only TRC is required. So yeah, your question is, your thought is right, that only TRC is required when you want to take the benefit of DDAA.
Perfect. Next thing, can we move ahead now?
Correct. So I think more or less my topic has been covered. So now I'll just pass on to our next topic that will be taken by Vartika, and it is on SEP, which has been newly introduced by the Finance Act. So let's have a brief introduction about that. Vartika?
Thank you so much, Naman sir. So let's move towards the SEP provision, which is the hot burning issue in today's time. We'll go slow by slow, and stop me if I'm going very fast. So let's see the introduction part where this SAP provision arises with the advice of OECD in its BEPS Action Plan 1. BEPS, that means Base Erosion Profit Shifting Action Plans, which has 15 action plans, and the first one is the tax challenges arising from digitalization, which provides an option to introduce SAP provision in unilateral domestic law to curb this provision of tax challenges arising due to the digitalization. So very well accepted by the Indian Income Tax Act in the Finance Act 2018 with the introduction of explanation 2A to section 911. And in the Finance Act 2018, the provision has been introduced, but the threshold limit जो कि उसकी applicability के लिए important है, वो अभी recently notification के through आया है. So it is applicable. So the SAP provision will be applicable from the financial year 2021 to 2022. That means this financial year. So let me warn you, this is an amendment in the Income Tax Act, not in the DTAA. अब इसका क्या impact होता है? We'll read it in the next slides. So let's read with the provision of this explanation 2A to section 911, which states that hereby declared that significant economic presence of a non-resident in India shall constitute a business connection in India. बोले तो significant economic presence होगा तो आपका business connection India में हो जाएगा. Business connection हुआ तो income deemed to accrue or rise in India हो जाएगा, मतलब कि आपका taxability India में आ जाएगा. Okay. So what do you mean by this significant economic presence? तो वो भी provision ने specify किया है. There are two definition or let's say two transaction जिसकी वजह से आपका SAP India में आ सकता है. We'll read in the next slides. But first of all, the first question came into my mind whether this provision is applicable only for digital taxation. Like the intention says yes, obviously, because BEPS Action Plan 1 says to curb tax challenges arising from digitalization. Okay, the same Memorandum of Finance Act 2018 also states that the same words. That is, therefore, emerging business models such as digitalized business which do not have physical presence in India. So बोले तो interpretation तो intention तो law का यही था कि आप digital को ही curb करो. But जब ये provision लेके आया गया तो वहाँ पे कहीं पे भी restriction नहीं है कि ये सिर्फ डिजिटल ट्रांजेक्शन के ऊपर ही लगेगा। सो लेट्स चेक इट आउट कि कौन कौन से ऐसे ट्रांजेक्शन हैं जिनकी वजह से आपका सैप इंडिया में आ सकता है। ओके, सो दे आर बेसिकली two threshold limit. First is revenue based and the second one is user based. Revenue means, let's read it out, transaction in respect of any goods, services or property carried out by a non-resident in India, including, okay, including है, exhaustive list नहीं है, this is just including the provision of download of data or software in India if the aggregate amount exceeds the limit. Okay, now on 3rd May, a notification came that brings this threshold limit. That means अगर आपका ऐसा कोई ट्रांजेक्शन 2 करोड़ से ऊपर का जाता है तो उसकी वजह से आपका सैप इंडिया में आ जाएगा। फॉर एग्जाम्पल, कमीशन एजेंट जो कि अभी तक डाइस ही रहता था कि उसका पी है या नहीं है, अब अगर वो कमीशन एजेंट इंडिया से 2 करोड़ का ट्रांजेक्शन ले रहा है तो उसका सैप इंडिया में आ जाएगा। सैप इंडिया में आ गया तो बिजनेस कनेक्शन आ गया और इंडिया में टीडीएस काटने का लायबिलिटी आ जाएगा। ओके, दिस इज द फर्स्ट वन. The second one is on user based. It states that systematic and continuous soliciting of business activity or engaging in interaction with such number of users in India. So it states with the users in India with the limit of 3 lakh. For example, TikTok का इंडिया में 3 लाख से ज्यादा का यूजर्स है तो उसका सैप इंडिया में आ जाएगा और उसका बिजनेस कनेक्शन हो जाएगा, टैक्सेबिलिटी आ जाएगा. बट होल्ड ऑन, इसका impact, we'll read it over here. Okay, let's check the first impact कि इसको 2 पार्ट्स में बाइफरकेट करते हैं. फर्स्ट, जिन कंट्रीज के साथ अपन ट्रांजैक्शन कर रहे हैं उनके साथ DTAA है या नहीं, एंड द सेकंड वन, ओके, DTAA है या नहीं. सो DTAA अगर होगा तो जो वी आर ऑन द सेफर साइड, बिकॉज एज आई वांट यू कि ये अमेंडमेंट इनकम टैक्स एक्ट में हुआ है, DTAA में नहीं हुआ है. सो यू आर ऑन द सेफर साइड. आप बेनिफिशियल प्रोविजन, जैसा कि अभी अपन ने डिस्कस किया कि बेनिफिशियल प्रोविजन को आप हेल्प ले सकते हो और आपका सैप इंडिया में नहीं आएगा, बिकॉज DTAA में तो अभी भी वही चल रहा है कि बिजनेस कनेक्शन तभी आएगा जब आपका कोई फिक्स्ड बिजनेस यहाँ पे आ गया, आपने ब्रांच खोल लिया, डिपेंडेंट एजेंट कुछ खोल लिया, उसी की वजह से आएगा. उधर अभी सैप वाला प्रोविजन नहीं आया है. मे बी DTAA इवॉल्व हो जाए तो कुछ प्रोविजन आ जाए. द सेकेंड वन, द रेड मार्क आई कैन से, कि अगर अपन किसी कंट्री के साथ ट्रांजैक्शन कर रहे हैं जहाँ पे DTAA नहीं है तो अपन को वहाँ पे डायरेक्टली इम्पैक्ट होगा क्योंकि उस पे सैप प्रोविजन आ जाएगा. लेट्स से विद एन एग्जांपल, लेट्स सपोज अर्जेंटीना में कोई नॉन रेजिडेंट है जिसके साथ मैं ट्रांजैक्शन कर रही हूँ, अर्जेंटीना जिसके साथ अपना इंडिया का DTAA नहीं है अभी तक. ओके, सो अगर मैं ट्रांजैक्शन कर रही हूँ उस नॉन रेजिडेंट के साथ तो मुझे उससे पूछना पड़ेगा, भाई तेरा 2 करोड़ से ऊपर का ट्रांजैक्शन तो नहीं है, या फिर अगर यूजर वाला सॉफ्टवेयर है तो इतने यूजर्स तो नहीं है. बिकॉज अगर उसका सिर्फ मेरे से नहीं, इंडिया में इस ट्रांजैक्शन थ्रेशोल्ड लिमिट को क्रॉस कर गया तो उसका सैप इंडिया में आ जाएगा और मेरे को TDS काटने का लायबिलिटी आ जाएगा. सो इट्स वेरी मच बेटर कि आप एटलीस्ट उससे डिक्लेरेशन ले लो कुछ फॉर्मेट में कि आपका इतना थ्रेशोल्ड लिमिट क्रॉस नहीं कर रहा है, सो दैट अपन सेफर साइड पे रहें. नाउ अपन इसके पीछे जाते हैं. अभी अपन ने देखा कि मैंने थ्रेशोल्ड लिमिट अपन ने देख लिया. ये एक्सप्लेनेशन 2A में दो प्रोविजो और है जो कि बोलता है, फर्स्ट प्रोविजो बोलता है irrespective of these 3 ट्रांजेक्शन, चाहे से ये हो ना हो हमें कोई फर्क नहीं पड़ता, हम तो आपका सैप इंडिया में लेके आएंगे ही. द फर्स्ट वन इज, चाहे से एग्रीमेंट कहीं पे भी हुआ हो. पहले अपन यही फिगर आउट करते थे कि एग्रीमेंट जहाँ पे होगा वहां पे बिजनेस कनेक्शन आएगा क्योंकि वहां पे उसका पावर होगा. बट अभी इससे कोई फर्क नहीं पड़ता, ना एग्रीमेंट से फर्क पड़ता है, ना ही नॉन रेजिडेंट का प्लेस ऑफ बिजनेस से फर्क पड़ता है. द मोस्ट इम्पॉर्टेंट इज कि सर्विस इंडिया में हुई हो या नहीं हुई हो कोई फर्क नहीं पड़ता, मुझे सिर्फ थ्रेशोल्ड लिमिट ही देखनी पड़ेगी उसकी. ओके, दिस वाज द फर्स्ट प्रोविजन जो कि इन 3 चीजों से मना कर देता है. अभी थ्रेशोल्ड लिमिट देखा, इन 3 चीजों को देखा, वी मूव टुवर्ड्स द इनकम एट्रीब्यूशन पार्ट. दैट मीन्स ओके, मेरा थ्रेशोल्ड लिमिट क्रॉस कर गया, मेरा सैप इंडिया में आ गया, अभी मेरा कितना इनकम एट्रीब्यूटेबल होगा वो भी मुझे चेक करना पड़ेगा. तो इसी एक्सप्लेनेशन में यही क्लियर कर दिया गया है भाई, only so much of income as is attributable to the transaction of activities referred above transaction shall be deemed to accrue or arise in India. It means this is very clear कि आप जितना अमाउंट का वो ट्रांजेक्शन होगा उतना ही अमाउंट का टैक्सेबिलिटी इंडिया में अराइज होगा. ऐसा नहीं होगा कि मैं ग्लोबली उसको टैक्स कर दूं. So it was the explanation to it.
Hold for a minute.
Yeah, sure, sir.
It says income which is attributable to that particular transaction. Now, to find out how much is the income attributable to transaction, it's a very difficult task, because then you have to find out what is the function, what is the asset, what is the risk that other party is taking, that is FAR analysis, to earn this particular income. So there is no clear-cut guidance on attribution of income. Now, in absence of that calculation or the attribution of income ka mathematics, so one school of thought says ki whether 100% of the tax is 100% of the transaction value is liable for tax in India. The other method, that is called formulatory method, Rule 10, which gives power to the assessing officer, they can estimate the income. So if you are importing the goods more than 2 crores from an overseas party, so if there is no treaty, then there will be difficulty in estimating how much is the income attributable, because that other party, that overseas supply, will never share with you कि आपका FAR analysis India में क्या है क्या नहीं है. So practically speaking, very very difficult. And if you
next to impossible, sir. Next to impossible.
मैं और नमन साथ में काम किए हैं तो नमन का मेरा वेवलेंथ मैच होता है. And so that is very very difficult to find out how much income is attributable. So ये जो SAP के provision आए हैं, that is as Naman rightly said कि बहुत difficult है उस पे कितनी इनकम आप कितना TDS काटोगे. एंड सेकेंडली जहाँ पे अगर ट्रीटी है तो ट्रीटी होने के बावजूद भी आपको टीआरसी का तो ऑब्लिगेशन रहेगा ही रहेगा.
करेक्ट एब्सोल्युटली.
सो कमिंग बैक टू योर पॉइंट कि दैट थ्रेशोल्ड लिमिट में अगेन देयर कैन बी 2 सिनेरियो. वी कैन टेक डिक्लेरेशन दैट their transaction in India is not exceeding 2 crores, but suppose the transaction with you alone is exceeding 2 crore, then then the declarations got no value, and you have to just see that you take treaty benefit, and to take treaty benefit वो TRC का होना बहुत जरूरी है. TRC or any other document which suggests that that particular person is a taxpayer of that particular state.
Absolutely.
वर्तिका, go on.
इसमें मेरा एक जो स्कूल ऑफ थॉट था, दैट इज इनकम एज इज एट्रीब्यूटेबल. सो आई शुड गो विद द फर्स्ट वन कि पूरा ही इनकम टैक्सेबिलिटी में आ जाए, बिकॉज जब तक कुछ रूल प्रिस्क्राइब नहीं हो तब तक.
No, Vartika, let us be practical. Now suppose you are stationed at UK and you are selling goods to me in India. Now that transaction value exceeds say 2 crores and uska 5 crore ka value hai. And if I tell you, Vartika, I will deduct 40% tax. So you may say, hell with your
not at all.
This is not even my profit. Hell with your tax system. I am not interested. So practically speaking, this is not workable.
Yes, absolutely agree, sir. Correct.
Even ये तो आप 40% की बात कर रहे हैं. Equalization levy, practically speaking, whose financial muscles are more powerful, they only drive that thing. Equalization, who will bear the equalization levy? जब 2% के लोगों की ये मेंटेलिटी है तो 40% का forget. They will say, I will not do business with you only.
And so practically we have seen, all the foreign people, they always say, I don't care about your taxes. You
Exactly.
pay for stuff, I don't really care. So I will take my 100 rupees back home. Okay, I don't care you pay 10, 20, 40, whatever be it, you pay to your government.
In short, they say you pay me net of your country's taxation.
Yeah, we've seen in many agreements,
Yeah,
they
that's,
just simply, otherwise they will not work. There is no
otherwise
if and
it will
but.
not work.
This is not negotiable.
एंड सेकेंडली क्या होता है ना कि अभी अभी ये जो टैक्स क्रेडिट का जो अपने दोस्त नवन मालू ने टच अपॉन किया था, नाउ टू टेक द टैक्स क्रेडिट इज अगेन टास्क इन इटसेल्फ. वो रूल 128 फॉर्म 67 एंड अभी रिसेंटली वो टाटा सन्स का केस आया था कि वो फेडरल टैक्स का क्रेडिट मिलेगा, स्टेट टैक्स का नहीं मिलेगा.
Yes. एक्सपेंस मिल सकता है उसका.
Expense मिल सकता है. नहीं, then I think the ruling is that कि if there is no double taxation avoidance, then section 91 come into for rescue, and even if treaty is there, then department cannot give you more treatment which is inferior than the treaty is not there with any other country. So उन्होंने दोनों का दिया था, central as well as federal, state and federal, sorry.
Yes.
Anyway, वो अब subject दूसरा है, कभी आएंगे discuss.
Maybe topic for some other time.
Yes.
So,
Go on, Ritika, please.
yeah, thank you so much, sir, for this income as is attributable को impossibility का criteria में देखने के लिए. अभी impossibility और भी एक और चीज आएगी, तो we will move towards the next slides. This is done. So let's say with this the explanation 2A कि income attributable में क्या चीज आना चाहिए. With an example, let's say TikTok from the Argentina country, not from the China. This is because कि DDAA के provision में अपन नहीं जा रहे हैं. Let's say कि TikTok अर्जेंटीना में है और इसका 10 लाख यूजर्स इंडिया में है. So since 3 लाख से ऊपर का यूजर एक्सीड कर गया, सैप इंडिया में आ गया. Now let's say कि क्या टिकटॉक इंडिया से कुछ चार्ज करता है?
I am logging off because हमारे कंपनी में पेज कंट्रोल होएगा, so I am logging off, dear.
Okay.
I am the loser.
Thank you so much for coming in, sir.
Sir, we are the losers. We must have some this communication later on.
Yeah, we all are here to learn, dear.
Yes, thank you so much, sir.
Chal, thanks.
Thank you. Okay, so continue with this. Let's suppose TikTok has 10 lakh users in India. That means 3 lakh exceeds. SAP is in India. Okay. Now there are two chances कि income attributable क्या होगा TikTok का. So first of all, let's suppose TikTok 10 रुपए चार्ज करता है every user से. Okay, 1 करोड़ अमाउंट हो गया. So जब आपका इनकम इंडिया से आ रहा है और सैप इंडिया में हो गया, तो दैट 1 करोड़ विल कम्स अंडर द एम्बिट ऑफ टैक्सेबिलिटी इन इंडिया. ओके, बट नॉर्मली ऐसा टिकटॉक चार्ज करता है नहीं. अपन इंस्टाग्राम पे कुछ भी पेमेंट नहीं करते हैं. तो जब इस टिकटॉक का कोई इनकम इंडिया से जनरेट ही नहीं हो रहा है, तो कोई इनकम इंडिया में एट्रीब्यूटेबल ही नहीं होगा. ये अपन को एक्सप्लेनेशन 2A बोल रहा है. ओके, नाउ let's move towards one additional income attribution point, that is explanation 3A of section 911. Let's read the last line first. This explanation shall also apply to the income attributable to the transaction or activities referred in explanation 2A. यानी कि 2A पे भी लगेगा, SAP provision पे भी लगेगा. अभी क्या बोलता है? It hereby declare that the income attributable to the operations carried out in India as referred to in explanation 1 shall include income from such advertisement which targets a customer's sale of data, sale of goods, services using data collected, etc. तो 3 और इनकम को इसने इनकम एट्रीब्यूटेबल के पॉइंट्स में लेके आ गए हैं. अभी इसका क्या इम्पैक्ट होता है अपन एक एग्जांपल से समझते हैं. ओके, लेट्स सी वही अपना टिकटॉक वाला एग्जांपल जो कि अर्जेंटीना में है. ओके, अभी टिकटॉक, अब अपन 1 स्टेप फॉरवर्ड जाएंगे. फॉर एग्जांपल टिकटॉक ने जो इंडिया का डेटा यूजर था, उसके पास पूरा डेटा होता है, वो डेटा एक यूएसए की कंपनी को सेल आउट कर दिया. ओके, उससे उसको पैसा कंसिडरेशन मिला. लेट्स सी कि टिकटॉक का सैप इंडिया में आएगा या नहीं आएगा, बिजनेस कनेक्शन इंडिया में आएगा या नहीं आएगा. तो इसको चेक करने के लिए वी हैव 2 ऑप्शंस. लेट्स सपोज कि टिकटॉक का इंडिया में सिर्फ 1 लाख ही यूजर था. ठीक है, तो उसका सैप इंडिया में नहीं आएगा क्योंकि 3 लाख का एक्सीड नहीं किया. नो सैप, नो बिजनेस कनेक्शन, नथिंग एट ऑल. बट इन द सेकेंड ऑप्शन लेट्स सपोज जो अपना ओल्ड एग्जांपल था कि टिकटॉक का 10 लाख यूजर इंडिया में है, ओके 10 लाख यूजर इन इंडिया में हो गया, सैप आ गया। अब क्योंकि सैप आ गया, बिजनेस कनेक्शन आ गया, now let's read with the explanation 3a once again. It says sale of data collected from a person who resides in India or from a person who uses IP address located in India, etc. तो अगर जिसका बिजनेस कनेक्शन इंडिया में है वो सेल ऑफ डेटा भी करता है इंडिया का, तो उसका वो इनकम भी इस एक्सप्लेनेशन 3a में आ जाएगा। दैट मीन्स जो टिकटॉक ने का पैसा आया है यूएसए कंपनी की तरफ से वो भी इसके एम्बिट में आ जाएगा। बट होल्ड ऑन, दिस इज वेरी मतलब नेक्स्ट टू इम्पॉसिबल, जैसा अपना पहले डिस्कशन हुआ था इनकम एट्रीब्यूटेबल में ही इतना कंफ्यूजन है। सो आई डोंट नो कि इनकम टैक्स अथॉरिटीज ये ट्रांजेक्शन कैसे ट्रेस करेगी, बट लॉ तो यही बोलता है कि ये ट्रांजेक्शन भी इसके एम्बिट में आ जाएगा, इवन इफ कि टिकटॉक इंडिया से कुछ भी पैसा चार्ज नहीं करता तो भी। सो this is done. The income attribution we have 2a, we have to take this into consideration, and the explanation 3a which says these 3 points. Okay, so let's see कि अभी SAP provision is just the new born baby कि क्या नए rules आते हैं इसके रिगार्डिंग में और income attributable को कितना और easy ये लोग बनाते हैं। That's it from my side. Okay, we have any question?
Hello.
So
Hello. हाँ.
I'll just take some points which I have seen from all these three. What we have taken these three topics. What are the main crux that we can see in all the three topics is that number one, between income tax and DTAA will always overrule. So any of the CAs who are here or any of the colleagues who are chartered accountants and going to be chartered accountants, you always need to see with income tax act, along with that you need to see always the double tax avoidance agreement, and that is a very important thing when you are dealing with international clients. So in there also DTAA was into picture. In let's say the TRC thing, there also DTAA was into picture, and this SAP also. So DTAA is going to be a very important thing when you are dealing with any international transaction. That is the number one point. And in all the three points, as we have seen, TRC is also going to be an important thing. So let's say, for example, there is always an onus on the SSC who is earning this income. So as Vartika rightly said that it is going to be very difficult to decide how the income will be attributable in India and everything, and how the income tax authority will decide. From my opinion, it is that income tax will tax your 100% income, and the onus will be on you to tell them that how your income is attributable in India. That is going to be a thing. If we see it practically, income tax might say that you are just give us the data, you are taking because we all know who are the big players, and they can just target that big players that you are having the data of our clients and you are selling it from our residents. So there are chances that this thing will turn up and it can go into controversial things. So we need to see, and the other important points, as we have seen in all three, other than DTAA, TRC is the second important document which you need to have. But let's say for a practical difficulty, let's say you are downloading any software from a website, or let's say you are working with freelancers. In that case, TRC is not easily readily available. So in that case, the onus is again on the person. So here we need to understand, when we are dealing with income tax, the onus is always on us to keep our safety. Income tax law is always going to corner you that you need to provide this, or else I'll disallow everything. So you need to have some documents, let's say a Form 10F, or let's say any other document which can prove that, okay, you are taking the benefit of DTAA because of this document. So we need to always understand that TRC is also a very important document. Also, there are judgments which are in support of this thing, that TRC is not required, but that is a litigative part. If you don't want to go into litigation, always have a supporting document to take the benefit of DTAA. So these are my two takeaways from this, all the 3 points that we have covered. So now if Naman sir would like to add something to this.
Hey, rightly said. So we need to take care of Act and DTAA, and watch out this space for more. Things are not getting easier. It will be messy only. So that's the fun. And just to tell you, all the people also, this SEP provision is a temporary provision. It's not there for stay long. It's just a temporary provision, like any of the provisions of the web section plan 1. Once the whole consensus, like government are talking right now, you must have seen G7 countries, 15% minimum rate and all those stuff, those would come into place when once a global consensus is reached. All these equalization levy, SEP, all those would be phased out. This will be, completely be out of the window. So that is there. I think we have a couple of questions. We'll take them first, and then if we have any time, we'll take our thing. Being resident individual, a lot of Indian residents floats company in tax haven like Dubai. Usually, POEM comes in picture as a section. The threshold will be 50. Thus, SEP affect those companies floated in tax haven by resident individual taking the income of the company as business action in India under SEP. So, who has asked this question? Neeta. So Neeta, basically a resident individual who floats a company outside India. Okay. Now, only if those outside India company earns something or as a user based in India, then it will come into SEP provision. Okay. ये मतलब नॉर्मली अगर कोई बाहर कंपनी बनाता है तो वो बाहर का ट्रेडिंग करता है या बाहर से दे विल इन्वॉल्व आउटसाइड इंडिया ट्रेडिंग समथिंग और समथिंग फॉरेन गुड्स बेचेगा या कुछ करेगा, मतलब इंडिया से माल गया बाहर इन दोस टैक्स हेवन कंट्रीज एंड उसके बाद वो यूरोप में यूएस में बेचता है. तो इन दैट सिनेरियो देयर इज नो एसईपी कमिंग टू पिक्चर बिकॉज इंडिया से कोई ट्रांजेक्शन नहीं है विद रिस्पेक्ट टू 2 करोड़ और समथिंग. इनवर्ड ट्रांजेक्शन होना चाहिए. ओके, so their SEP will come into picture, not any.
I think there is some internet issue
there. Even when your PO is approved on email, that is digital. Okay, so that really needs to be taken care of. So this is one of the questions which is there. What else? Take direct message.
So there is one more question from Rahul Chatwani, which says that in case if a non-resident is not having PAN but taking the benefit of Rule 37 BC, do we need to ask for TRC? So so a carve out of the benefiting provision of section 206AA which says about the higher taxation when the PAN is not available. So there is a beneficial rule which say that is Rule 37 BC we had discussed earlier also, which says that if a non-resident provides a prescribed set of things that is mentioned in sub rule 2 of Rule 37 BC, then in that case he can take the benefit of the normal provisions of the Income Tax Act and he will not be charged to the higher tax rate. So in that, in the third point, it has been mentioned that they need to take a tax residency certificate from the government. So it is basically TRC which you need for taking the benefit of even Rule 37 BC. So I think your question is that if you are taking benefit of 37 BC, we need TRC, and that is mentioned in Rule 37 BC, and that is as per Income Tax Act. So for Income Tax Act, TRC is mandatory.
Does the resident SEC important goods of more than 2 crore required to do TDS? Yes, Vivek sir, basically यही प्रॉब्लम है SEP का. एंड देखो ट्रीटी कंट्रीज में कुछ फर्क नहीं पड़ेगा, बट नॉन ट्रीटी कंट्रीज में, एंड देयर वाज अ स्टडी मेड बाय आई थिंक PwC रिसेंटली व्हिच सेड दैट 12% of the transaction of India comes from a non-treaty country. So 12% is a huge number. For all those 12%, जहां भी वो 2 करोड़ के ऊपर का आ जाएगा, then the purchaser needs to deduct TDS. Okay, वो purchaser को TDS deduct करना पड़ेगा. और कैसे वो डिडक्ट होगा, कैसे इनकम निकलेगी, वो किसी को नहीं पता. वो फॉर्मुलेटरी अपॉर्चुन में बता रहे थे जो रूल 10 का, वो करना पड़ेगा या कोई है वो फॉर्मुलेटरी भी किसी को नहीं मालूम है. नॉर्मली आज तक जब इंडिया में जो पीई टैक्सेबल हुए हैं वो सब में ऐसे ही माना है कि अरे इसका 10% इनकम मान लेते हैं, दिस इज टैक्सेबल 20% मान लेते हैं एंड यू पे टैक्स ऑन दैट. तो बट वो एओ करता है अपने हाथ में, आई डोंट नो कैसे होगा, इट्स वेरी डिफिकल्ट.
So if anyone also wants to join the discussion, they can freely unmute themselves and join the discussion. If they have any questions or anything, they can it's a free discussion and not a presentation sort of thing. So you can freely add to the discussion and add to your points. So there is one more question from Pratima which says that for getting TRC in India, is there any online procedure to file form 10FA? So I think Vartika can take this question.
Okay, yeah. So there as such today there is no online procedure. We have to submit this physically to the AO. कहीं पे भी अभी ऑप्शन नहीं आया. इवन जो नई इनकम टैक्स की वेबसाइट आई है उस पे भी ऐसा कोई ऑप्शन नहीं है.
नई इनकम टैक्स की वेबसाइट पे कोई भी ऑप्शन नहीं है।
Okay, वो भी अभी न्यू बॉर्न है, तो it will take time.
I have received one question on direct message. It says, in case of country where the calendar year is regarded as financial and there is no concept of advance tax payment, then case how can we take credit as per FTC clause where the tax itself has not been paid before the filing of tax of return? Good question. देखिए वो पूरा साल उसका निकल गया, उसके बाद अगर उसका साल हमारे से पहले खत्म हुआ है, दिसंबर में खत्म हो गया, दिसंबर 21 के अंदर, हम यहाँ पे फाइलिंग करेंगे उसकी मार्च 21 की, कब तक करेंगे? सितंबर 21 के अंदर, जुलाई 21 के अंदर। जब तक हो सकता है आपका वो रिटर्न फाइल हो जाए, यू कैन टेक क्रेडिट ऑफ दैट थिंग बिकॉज आप रिटर्न फाइल कर दोगे वो दिसंबर तक का, ओके, एंड देन यू कैन टेक क्रेडिट इन जुलाई और सितंबर वेरेवर यू आर फाइलिंग, ठीक है। क्योंकि उसका ईयर पहले खत्म हो गया है, आई डू नॉट, मतलब उसके अलावा तो और कैसे होएगा, और कोई ऑप्शन मुझे लगता नहीं, बिकॉज यू नीड टू फाइल दैट रिटर्न एंड तभी आप कर पाओगे। और अगर आपने प्रोपोर्शनेट एडवांस टैक्स कहीं पे नहीं किया है, नॉर्मली आई नीड टू चेक ऑन दैट देन, अगर एडवांस टैक्स पे नहीं किया है तो। एनी अदर ओपिनियन ऑन दैट नमन और
नमन? इसमें जैसे जनवरी से मार्च का पीरियड जो होता है ना,
उसकी भी इनकम तो काउंट करनी पड़ेगी सर।
हाँ, उसकी काउंट है, लेकिन उसका टैक्स जुलाई तक मालूम नहीं होता, क्योंकि वो
exactly, मालूम होता है तो जनरली वी डोंट टेक दैट, ठीक है
तो
ना।
वो उसके लिए ना दिसंबर के बाद वो जब रिटर्न भरेगा जनवरी या फरवरी में, तो अपन मार्च के पहले रिटर्न रिवाइज कर
देंगे,
लेकिन अब दिसंबर कर दिए रिवाइज करने की डेट।
पता नहीं उसको कैसे करेंगे, वी नीड टू सी। आप प्रैक्टिकली आप एकदम सही बोल रहे हैं सर, तो वो कैसे करेंगे उसको, उसके अंदर या तो उसका साल का क्रेडिट, वो क्रेडिट अगले साल में लेंगे उसको, समथिंग ऑफ दैट सॉर्ट, एंड क्रेडिट हम लोग कैलेंडर ईयर वाइज देखेंगे और इनकम उसकी 12 महीने की, मतलब वैसे हमारे फाइनेंशियल ईयर वाइज देखेंगे, समथिंग ऑफ दैट सॉर्ट, दैट नीड्स टू बी वर्कड आउट। आप सही बोल रहे हैं।
मेरा ओपिनियन इसमें ये रहेगा कि इनकम टैक्स एक्ट या DDAA कोई भी जन यही बोलता है कि द टैक्स क्रेडिट और द क्रेडिट ऑफ टैक्स विल बी अवेलेबल इन द ईयर इन विच यू ऑफर दैट इनकम टू टैक्स। So if we are going to offer that income for tax and if you have any document of the sort कि उसका TDS वहाँ deduct हुआ है या फिर let's say his capital gain tax has been deposited, even if it is deposited we can file it with this year's income because we are offering the income, let's say for example जो जनवरी से मार्च की इनकम होगी उसको हम जुलाई में फाइल कर देंगे। So I think to be on a safer side we should file it, and because वो litigative तो रहने ही वाला है, बाद में भी अगर आप भरेंगे तो it can be a litigative thing, so it's better कि जिस साल में आप provide कर रहे हैं it is a legal thing that in the year in which you are providing that income to tax you need to take the credit. So if you have any substantial document which proves that you have paid the tax, then in that case you must take that chance. Other मतलब ये questionable रहेगा, but this is the my opinion in that thing.
Any other question? Otherwise we can close up then.
Yeah, we are reaching our time limit, so maybe if anyone wants to add something to this or any of their points.
There was a question by Google form, SEP rules for import of material by Bhavik.
SEP
question
rules
is by Bhavik, SEP rules for import of material.
I think this is the same question that will SEP be applicable on import of goods. That is a very common question which many people are getting. So if Naman sir can again elaborate, we have already answered, but if we can again.
Yes, it is applicable. You know, there is no escape from that, and because digitally has been mentioned कि आप मेल से करो, कुछ भी करो, anything. Though Nirmala Sitharaman has come on Twitter and said it on record, it's only on digital transaction. But वही है, what's the best case, which is digital transaction, which is not, is again will be fighting. Even आपका बैंक का से ट्रांसफर हो गया, that is also digital transaction. So वो digital transaction वो भी हो गया. So I'm not sure कि क्या चीज चलेगी. कुछ भी हो सकता है.
वाइड implications है इसके, मतलब we cannot just sum it up क्योंकि इन्होंने बहुत open ended इसके अंदर चीजें रखी है. It is not a very
और हाँ हमको ये समझना पड़ेगा बेसिकली ये यूएस को या बाकी डेवलप्ड नेशंस को बताने के लिए लेकर आए हैं कि देखो हम भी ऐसा कर सकते हैं, आप जल्दी से जल्दी कुछ ना कुछ रेजोल्यूशन लेकर आओ. और बिकॉज बहुत सारी कंट्रीज ने ऐसा लेकर आ गए, इक्वलाइजेशन लेवी, डिजिटल सर्विस टैक्स एंड ऑल दोस काइंड ऑफ स्टफ. फ्रांस लेकर आई, यूके लेकर आई, इंडिया हैज टेकन, मेनी अदर कंट्रीज हैव टेकन. इसी की वजह से G7 में डिस्कशन चल रहा है ऑफ दिस मिनिमम रेट एंड दिस यू नो कि ये सोर्स कंट्री में भी ऐसे प्रॉफिट टैक्सेबल होनी चाहिए. ये भी इसके ऊपर ये पूरी चीज चल रही है. So anything or anything, you know, anything.
There is one more question, I think.
Saturday, Gyan, anything, Any comments? If a foreign company established PE in India and receives the income from sale of goods, service to any entity, will this transaction cover under 195? Okay, who will take this up? I'll take it.
So,
Yeah, 195. 195. Obviously, if you see, even if the transaction is with respect to PE of a foreign company, so 195 categorically said any payment made to non-resident, not being a company, and to a foreign company. So foreign company को PE को tax कर रहे हो जो कि इंडिया में है, तब भी वो foreign company है. So 195 will be applicable and not 194 I, J or whatever be it, because it categorically says any payment made from a to a non-resident, not being a company, or to a foreign company. इसके लिए. So anything else before we close up? We end then.
we have this last option, last concept, this business connection.
Do you want to take it? It's already 5:30, so we may skip it up.
Okay, done.
So maybe you can, we can close it over here or something like that. Let's not stretch it too much at the time.
Done. Twinkle, hand over to you.
If there will be more queries of anyone, you can join our Telegram group. I'm sharing the link in the chat box. You can join the Telegram group where you can ask any queries related to international taxation. We can have a very good discussion over there. I'm sharing the link, and also I'm sharing the link for the feedback form for today's open forum discussion. And request all the attendees to fill the form.
This feedback form is not for today's session. This is for the whole Saturday International Taxian series. If you have any other recommendation, any other topic you want to share with us on which we can create something extra, something different thing, so you can share also that. We request you all to please fill the feedback form. Thank you.
Thank you for joining us today. At last, I want to say, knowledge is power, information is liberating, education is the premise of progress in every society and in every family. Spread knowledge and grow more.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you, everyone. Bye.